Had a 1. And I think we're live. It's Sam Puneet, and it is the Martin Fowler Scrum. Just so I did a bit of work on local support yesterday, merged PRs from Piotr and Maroen, and started pushing those out. The pull requests on local support are looking there's a lot fewer of them, and that's feeling under control. We're still left with me trying to work out what to do with email validations. I guess I've got to get space to get into that. At the moment, I'm more focused on website 1, and we've got this proposal into voluntary action Harrow Cooperative for working with the council and seeing what that happens. Dzień dobry, Piotr. So what else is going on? The AV102 course is in its first week. I've now pushed out notes about that to what was it called? Twitter and Facebook, and I think the key thing that I need to do is to create I have to create an AV102 mailing list, and I'm continuing to work through the week 1 materials, and sorting out the transcripts for those and redoing them, and that's really my personal deadline is getting that all done by Friday, so there's a fair amount of work to do there on that. And then website 1, we had a great kickoff meeting yesterday. I thought that went particularly well. We had Mike and Puneet and Raul, and there was a number of minor sort of sticking points, but we got them all sorted, and I was actually able to update my pull requests after the meeting. And so that's I'm feeling optimistic about that. Good stuff. Let's go on to Puneet. What's your doing, done, blocked set of stuff today?
So nothing is blocking me at the moment. Yesterday I submitted one pull request. I think we didn't get to 21st Apr applications. I'm yet to take a look on the task that was discussed in the meeting yesterday.
Okay, that's the GitHub commit one. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
During the check-in, I felt that I got the intermittent GS failure, I think, for once.
Right.
Because I just closed and reopened the request, and in the next one it passed through.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. So I'm hoping to put something in today which will basically the ones that intermittently fail on CI, and just not have them run. There's no point in having them run on CI if they're going to be so inconsistently fail. And we've tried, pretty hard to make them work. And they work. They run. Everything's green locally on your machine. Is that right, Puneet?
No, I think I started facing the local issue.
You've had some intermittent failures locally?
Not locally, but I faced a local issue with the Stripe actually. But that's since I know that, so
right. That's expected. Yes. So hopefully we'll have a broader, robust fix for those later today. Okay. Yeah, that reminds me. I need to, if I haven't already, have I started to add Touch PS to the was it one team? Great. Okay, and Piotr. Dzień dobry. No audio from Piotr at the moment. I don't think we can hear you. I presume you can hear us. And you might want to just, sometimes for me, I just pull in and unplug and plug back in the headphones. Sometimes that's all it takes. Yeah, there you go. That's the fix. Sometimes it's just that, and I've spent the day rebooting the computer only to find that it was the microphone jack. Anyway.
Yeah. So I found I had the same problem because I have Linux, Ubuntu, and Windows on the same computer.
Okay.
And when you restart your computer on Linux from Windows, then your sound doesn't work. But so it took me 2 hours to get to that. What was the reason? But anyway, so I started to add the feature of friendly ID to local support.
Yes.
So I didn't know, in fact, what kind and how many tests I should make for that. So I have one, but not particularly good in or two in Cucumber. But probably I need also to add many tests in RSpec, which I'm not so good into, but that's good because I need to train that. Maybe if you have some free time, you could just tell me more or less what direction I should go.
Sure.
With the tests. And also the question is what more than organizations we want to have like friendly ID, because for what I'm using the site, I see that mostly used is the model of organization, but maybe there are also some other models that you want to have the friendly ID for. And so for now, I'm only implementing it to organization and to base organization and propose organization. So only for these models. And I broke many tests, so now I need to also run through them.
Yeah, good. That's great stuff. Yes. Well, sort of just a quick thing I would say. Probably, yeah, the base organization and the organization is fine for the moment. And then I would say that, because this is a gem, I don't know that we necessarily need a lot of RSpec tests, although we can make them if you want to. And I would say in some ways, I haven't reviewed it. We can maybe look at this in more detail together at the top of the end of the session. But I would say that part of with this kind of generic change, rather than necessarily making lots of new tests, making all of the existing tests work with this will be the kind of the key thing. But maybe if you're free, we can look at this together at the end of the stand-up. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you, Piotr. We've got two new members. We've got Zhang and Philip. Hello, Zhang and Philip. How are you doing?
Hello.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. Hello. Hey, Zhang and Philip. Good to have you with us. So welcome to your first. This is the Martin Fowler. It's here in London. It's in the morning, but it could be any time. So it's the Martin Fowler. Are you guys familiar with Martin Fowler, the one of the original signatories of the Agile Manifesto?
No, no, I haven't heard of that.
No. Well, this is partly why I've named the Scrum after him, is so that you can discover more about Martin Fowler. We also have a Kent Beck Scrum. Martin Fowler is the author of a very successful series of books on refactoring, which is every programmer. That's the wrong mod. Yeah, that's actually him. And there's also a Martin Fowler on a soap opera. This is the Martin Fowler that we're interested in. So he's a British software developer. And so he's been very involved in things like extreme programming and agile software development. And the key thing, my favorite book from him, well, the one that I'm particularly interested in that he authored is Ruby Refactoring, or Refactoring Ruby. If we can find it, here we go. Yeah. So this is I strongly recommend the Ruby Refactoring book as you explore the process of Ruby. Martin Fowler and Ken Beck. There you go. So now you know who Martin Fowler is. But so Philip and Zhang. So I'll start with Philip. Are you taking the AV102 course, or what brings you to Agile Ventures today?
Well, I was invited by Jan, basically, so I just thought it would be a cool learning experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Philip, Kalle is a student of mine, Sam, in Craft Academy in Stockholm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
And so is Jan. Yeah.
Okay, you're both Craft Academy folks. There we go. No further explanation needed. But Thomas is also here. Welcome, Thomas. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I just went from Gothenburg to Stockholm this morning. So
you're that trained man. You're just like you flew, didn't you? You just like you don't need a plane or a train or anything. You just sort of like think about it, and suddenly you're in a different city.
Yeah, that's me. That's me, brother.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
I've been practicing pair programming and remote work. For so many years that I have some traveling to catch up.
I see. Yeah. Anything to report for the stand-up? We've pretty much done our stand-up.
Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry for getting here late. So basically, what we have for our Craft Academy students is a project assignment track, which we ask them to perform certain things with Agile Ventures at the moment, like joining a Scrum meeting like this, or a project meeting, just they don't have to participate at this level. The only thing we wanted to do is to observe and see the process in action, basically.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. So what I'll do is, I mean, if you wanted to see how it started off, I'll just put a link to the video stream from this. So yeah, Philip and Zan, you both came in. I think Piotr and I were discussing things from the local support project. You kind of missed the sort of stand-up flow. We've sort of reached the end of the stand-up Scrum process where myself and Piotr and Puneet have checked in on the different things that we're doing and where we're stuck. We're pretty much going to wrap up, but I think, Puneet, you're not blocked on anything for website 1 at the moment. Is that
Not
right?
at all.
No, but Piotr and I might be looking together at the code for local support. Are you free now, Piotr? Should we have a more detailed look at the code?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. And Thomas and Philip and Zhang, feel free to stick around and see us doing that. Just before we start, Philip and Zhang, any questions about what's going on our adventures or what we do, or you're okay for the moment?
No, I'm just gonna observe.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, let me bring it back onto the screen share there, and let's have a look at the code. So,
before you start,
go on,
Sam, I just going thank you very much for this. I'm going to drop out and set up a separate hangout with Jan and Kalle in like 10-15 minutes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Good luck.
Bye for now. Yes. So just a bit of context for Philip and Zan. This is let's go here. We've got the local support project, which is actually the oldest. It actually predates Agile Ventures, and it's a directory of non-profits and charities in northwest London or the Harrow area. So you can see that there with this directory, and also volunteer opportunities and so on. And Piotr, who's based in Krakow in Poland, he's been working on a new feature relating to making these, if we see we click through, making these URLs a little bit more friendly. So you can see here that at the moment, this, okay, that's the 881 is the ID in our database, but it's not, which is, fine for the point of this, but it means that the URL is not particularly friendly. So this is the GitHub. We've got the local support project here. These are some different pull requests that are open, and we've got one here from Piotr, and we were just looking at that, and I can quickly see, some comments in there, and the files that have changed. So, as part of me reviewing the pull request, and obviously Piotr and I chatted about this before we started. He's using this gem, the friendly ID gem. How are you feeling about this gem, Piotr? It seemed fairly straightforward to use from your point of view.
Yeah, I think it was quite easy to understand, and I think their API is really nice.
Mm-hmm,
so I'm not an expert, but I had it wasn't so hard to implement this. Though of course now it's breaking many tests, but in my local repo it works. So
yeah, and we use Friendly ID in website 1. We can see from here on GitHub that it's a popular project. It's been forked many times. It's got a lot of stars on there, and I imagine just followed the instructions here in the README about being able to use the Friendly ID on the organization model.
More of documentation, and there is it's also in the beginning of this. There is a link to the user-friendly guide.
Oh yeah.
Of it, and there are also
this one here.
Description of additional options in Friendly ID. So one thing from these additional options candidates.
Oh yeah.
You might be interested in, because I didn't implement that. Is that for now I assume that there is not much duplication in names of organizations, because I used like the basic just name of organization as a Friendly ID. But if there is duplication in names, then Friendly ID would create like UUID, which is ugly. But you can of course change it if you want. So
Sure.
by example, this Slack candidates option. So we might think about this if you want, or create some other.
I mean, I think there is a broader issue about duplicates within the database, and that maybe that will come up as part of that. So good to know. Always great to read the documentation thoroughly. Yes, and so we can sort of see. Actually, so with this view here, it's a shame in some ways that it's alphabetical. I'd often like to go into something from seeing the acceptance test first, and then the unit tests, and then the what have you. But let's just take it in order here. So we can see in the controller, but basically these where operations have just been switched to friendly ones. Very minor changes there, and then the same in the proposed organizations. Okay, there. I mean, one thing conceivably is that in a single pull request, you could have done it just for the organizations rather than pulling in the proposed, making the change in the proposed organizations. Not that we wouldn't want the proposed organizations to also have friendly IDs, but just in terms of not having too many tests fail, off the bat. But I guess you've pulled it into the base organization, so maybe that necessitated that. Looking at here, I would imagine that actually, just so now we're looking, this is the model code. I would imagine here that I would have thought that you don't need to extend the friendly ID here, because if the base organization extends,
I understand, but I thought this is like there is a one part in the documentation of friendly ID. Which says that if it's a single inherited table. Like, I'm not sure if it's the case, but I thought it is. Because there is one table only for base organization and organization.
That's right.
So that you need to put it to both of these. So that's why I did it.
Okay. Yeah, excellent. Good to know. Well, this is exactly what we get out of doing the code review. Is it's not just about me finding things, it's then me learning things from you. So we're kind of, and this is almost like a style of pair programming in which we're sharing information about these things with each other. Yes, excellent. Yes, and then so we've got the changes there. We have we've got a migration that's to add the slug there. We can see the additional sort of user-friendly name coming in, and so you've got here.
I tried to make a test for that, but first I think my test is redundant, so prove nothing. And also I didn't add any new step. I just extended one that was already really large, and also because of that, there came a problem. But I wasn't in fact sure. I'm not so experienced in that. I wasn't in fact sure in which direction I should make tests. So I just tried to make the list of things I would need to do. And then so only add some basic tests in Cucumber.
Sure. Yes. I mean, I think that there's, I mean, it's an interesting thing here for the you're adjusting the test steps is, there's this process of like drying that's happened in the future before you ever came to the project of drying out the test steps to make them kind of. I mean, if we can kind of sort of view that file itself, let's go and have a look at it here. So yeah, I mean, we've got this, this sort of setup, which is supposed to kind of make it all dry, but it introduces dependencies, and so then if one makes changes on top of it, then it can all get a bit tricky. And so sometimes, and I think this is what I've seen more in the Website 1 project, is if you're making a new test for yourself, perhaps the simplest thing to do is just to create, unique steps for that, and not worry about, in the first instance, trying to fit it in with all of the existing steps. Yes, but so I guess, and I mean, I think it's fine in principle to add the test there. Although I would sort of be tempted so that it's like these individual cherry pages. I think we need to actually rename this, because this is, we need to rename the folder. This is not something that you need to do particularly, but as I've been talking about with the domain model and using the language. Like we have this, the name of this structure here, individual charity pages, I think reflects the terminology we were using early in the projects and not what we're currently using, which is about talking about organizations, and it makes it difficult to navigate there. But I think if I quickly go and look at the full code base for support over here, and we have a look at, so yeah, individual charity, this should really be organizations, is I would sort of expect, since we're making this, this is the feature where we're looking at all the charities, that kind of the key thing would be that this all works with the new way of accessing the system. And so, but let's have a quick look at the actual errors that we're getting as a side effect of all of this. So let's see over here.
So I didn't find any similar text in this file that showed me this feature.
Right.
Page feature. So that's why I created a new file for that, because I wasn't sure if it should be there.
Yeah. Oh well, then that's always a reasonable first step. Yeah, interesting. So we've got those. There's certain RSpec failures, which we can, which there are various ones. Yeah. No, I mean the RSpec, as I was saying, if any of them are view spec failures, such as these ones are, then we can sort of move towards deleting those, because I think we've decided, that view specs are not so useful. But it does seem like, for the changes that you've made, that does seem like a relatively large number of errors. And I guess that so then the cucumbers haven't run. How are the cucumbers running locally for you? Do they all pass screen?
And no, there were also some problems with that.
But, yeah, was it what just one or two failures, or was it extensive failures?
No, there were more of them. I'm not sure now how many.
Right.
But
not to worry. I'm just sort of interested. I can just.
In fact, I don't know if it's about the structure of the application that I broke, or it was a dependency that was broken, or something like that. As you have seen, there weren't so many changes in the code.
No, indeed. Well, and let's have a little look at these in the context of my local system now. So if I compare your branch with develop, so this again shows us all the changes. So so if we look at the organization controller, yes. So clearly the way now, as I understand it, by putting the friendly thing in here, this means that when we do this find operation, that we can either pass in the ID, or it can be the slug. Basically gives us flexibility in that regard. I mean, the thing that I also noticed about the change here is that
I needed to keep the organizations variable, because there are many dependencies, especially build map markers with this. And when you use where, you get active record relation.
Yeah.
And when you get find, you get just the record. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
no. So that look, yeah. So just looking at that, I mean, in principle, that should be transparent to what's going on. Similarly, for here, it's not clear why that would cause a problem. And then so we've extended these three models, but that's just adding kind of to their interface. And there was something here about there's a change in the show. This is the view page. I can't. Is that just like a
just the link path? If you have
okay. Okay. Yes. There we go. I see. So it's going from edit organization path. If you link to it, we'll take to that. Yes.
So I just changed it to friendly ID.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And now I need to do the migration. Bundle exec rake db migrate. Like so. But I presume you've run the app, locally, and the app is all running fine as far as you can see superficially.
As far as I could see yesterday night, yes.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. So we're just going to look at localhost 302. Okay, interesting. Okay, probably that error there is because when we add a new gem, we need to restart our server. Oh, I didn't want to. I thought I was having it on a different. It's 3001. I've got it running on 3001 and 3002. Gosh, I've got them all running in so many different places. Let's go and have a look at that now. Okay, oh no, okay, that's your. Sorry. Yeah, that's your other app. Let's go back. That's the one I wanted to restart. About here we come. Okay, so now I guess going to this immediate, what I noticed is if you updated the edit path there. That's in the show page. I guess the key place to be making. Let's just go and look at that. I need to sign in. Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly surprised. Like for the edit organization path, does that need to be the friendly ID there?
So if you don't use it, then when you click edit, you wouldn't have a friendly ID. You just have ID.
Right.
But maybe also I'm not sure about the database, because in my database I needed to like reload the database for every organization needed to have a slug, because without it, if you don't like save each because it automatically will
I see.
but you need to save each record in database.
No, and okay, I understand. Yes. Well, I guess what that makes me think is like one important thing to do is that like, 'cause if we imagine this going out onto production, we can't go through and manually reload the like thousands of organizations that are on production. So one thing that's become sort of a to-do item for this is what we need to do is we need to make the migration. We need to ensure that the migration that does that automatically. So what we should have here is if we're adding this column and this is now going to be empty by default, and then there's a problem. So what we'll need to do is, in part of that change operation, is have another thing where we basically load all of the organizations in turn and then save them again. If that makes sense.
Okay. So how you do that? You just
well, for example, we could just do we make a loop. We get like organizations got all each, and then we do like that.
Okay.
Or something to that effect. And we might want to have this done as up and down rather than just change, because we probably only want to do that on the up migration. But yes, yeah. I mean, the interesting thing for at least in the way that you've approached this is, I would say that the edit page is possibly it's maybe I wouldn't change that first, I guess. Like, the presence of or absence of the 447 when you edit it, like editing is a less common activity. The thing for me is more like for the user browsing the site, the way that they're going to first experience the thing is they're going to go directly to the page. So it's sort of, for example, in this list, I mean, the thing I would be checking and or changing first, rather than in the organization's show, if we would look at, for example, here in the views for organizations, it's sort of the index where would be the first place that people would encounter things. So let's have a look. So we're going to go to link to organization name, organization. So I guess it would sort of be we want to have friendly ID in here. would be the kind of the first place I would be making a change and sort of expecting to find it. Now I guess that will fail here because let's see. Go organizations. The friendly IDs for all of those things are kind of blank.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need, if we want to sort of do that, let's come back to that. Should just be the organization is being passed in. If take an individual one and we go in here, there we go. And so if I now edit and save that, then so that will now in principle have
Friendly ID.
yeah, and so here we can put the friendly ID back in, and yeah, in fact, actually, so when I saved it, it went to How Gateway. There we go, like that. And so yeah, now if we go back to here, How Gateway. Okay, yeah, it has a link there. Yeah, so this ended up having to be, I guess, is it the organization? Is it ends up being like organization path, and then linking to the friendly ID or something?
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So here, no, it doesn't like that. What was the way that we've done it? So you had it set up here with the show, edit organization path. If I run break roots here, the organization, organizations, it's organization path. Yeah, no, that's, there we go. Organization path. It's not liking that. And why is it not liking that? It's saying here, link to organization name, organization path, organization.friendlyid.
He didn't get the ID, so it's still new.
Yeah, I guess it's like, do we have to specify that that is going to be the ID? So it needs to be like.
No, it shouldn't be like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I'm just surprised there because that's working for, or at least that's it. Did it actually work for the edit thing that we're in there? There was the show page. You had, what did we have in here? You had organization friendly ID and edit organization path, and that worked. I guess here we should sensibly look at the. Here, is there something about paths? No. Well, I'm just kind of noodling around in there. I guess let's just have a quick look at how it's done in website 1. So if we've got the projects and we look at the project index, so we've got the listing for the project, and so project path project. Maybe it doesn't need the friendly ID there at all. What's this? We don't need to look at that anymore. Go back there. Should it just be that's there? We've got the show page and the index page, and maybe this just needs to be organization path, organization, like that. Back to, where's the, here it is. Okay. Yeah, okay, that was it. Right, so this is now the, and interestingly there, okay, so they would be updated as they were saved, which we can, so that would be the key change that I would be sort of looking to make. And I guess no, I ran also over here. What were the? I didn't run. Let's have a look at the sets of cucumber failures. What? Oh, I guess I need to run the migrates, but I have to do it for the Rails env equals test. Okay. So I just want to see what the, because I'm feeling that the cucumber errors should be more revealing in terms of the problems, but But does that make sense? What I'm saying about the making the change to the here rather than here as kind of the first,
Okay.
first change. I mean, the other thing that I might do in this is almost not make any changes in any of the views and just try to see if the impact of changing the models, has any negative side effects.
Well, I did it, but then I found out that in edit view, the path is still the same. Like URL is still the same.
Sure. But the interesting question from my point of view is that if we sort of go, if we revert the show page, like if we have no changes in the views, does simply adding the gem as a mix-in to the models cause any negative side effects? Like in the situation where we have lots of failures, we can kind of like be trying to look into each of those individual failures and understand each of those individual failures, but that can be quite a laborious process. If we can sort of say, okay, it's sort of specific, there's a specific problem before then. So here, right, this is what I wanted to see. Yeah, so the errors that we're getting here, for example, we've got individual charities, which is a simple one. So volunteers sign up, individual charities. This is my org feature, proposed organization, edit donation info, features. What's happening with this one? Right, so I think in some places now, this is going to be failing because it's like this is probably the bottom line of the issue. So if we now look at the map feature 33, like so, features, individual charity pages. Is the map feature not in there? Where is the map feature? It's in, where did I just do it? It's in homepage, map feature. And this is failing line 33. Okay, then I should see a click on that markers. Let's go and have a look at that there. Yeah, so we've got that's going there and looking specifically for the ID. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, we can see that would need to be changed so that it looked for the organization path based on the organization model rather than, so what does this do? Okay, this is yeah, and part of the thing here is looking at and finding we've got kind of convoluted steps under the hood. But so I think the interesting thing is if we take this back, so this was originally, was it just organization in there? Like that? Yeah. And if we go to not the edit page, this is my index page here where we just go back to, that was just, I think it was just organization, wasn't it? Originally. Yeah, let's take that back to check what it was. Yes. So the interesting thing there is we can ask, because we kind of want to be able to eliminate the possibility that errors are being generated purely by having the model being mixed in. So it's interesting to see, this is without any changes to the view, we still seem to be having some sort of error there, and I guess that's maybe because even by itself it's having an impact on the view, and I want to see the set of failures and maybe say, so here we've got some request specs and controller specs and not even any of the view specs. And so what's the issue here? If we look for a simple one, get edit whilst under you cannot edit redirects to organization view, if we run this one, like so, yeah. So that looks like that's going to be the underlying nature of the problem throughout. So we've got organization controller spec 284. Let's have a look at that. App controllers. No, where's the test? Spec controllers, organization controller. What was this? This is in 282. Interesting. So I guess the thing, yeah, okay, and this is actually, right, this is a controller, the top level. Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of, I have to say, like, I'm really down on like the value of the controller specs as well. So you can see that this is sort of doing a test in terms of, it redirects to the organization view that I think, that's a high level, user experience thing as well. What if you're signed in as a user who cannot edit, then, you're going to get redirected to this other thing, and it's potentially going to say, I'm sorry, you can't see that. I feel like this is a sort of a gnarly test, really. It's I guess it's to the extent that the associated controller is not doing so. So what this is a edit. This is organizations controller. Come up here. It's sort of a test of a test in place of how this is operating.
So I think it's looking in this test for the thing that we are just changing. That's why it doesn't find it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And so the explanation for why it doesn't work is as you say, straightforward. I'm kind of looking at it at another level as well of, do we need to be having these sorts of tests? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I think we've got a lot of duplication between the kinds of tests that we have at the acceptance level and that we have also as kind of controller specs. Yeah. So in terms of addressing this problem, one approach is to be coming in here and fixing the URLs, as you say. So if this is going to redirect through here, this is trying to do edit. This is some user who doesn't have edit permissions. So they're going to come in through the organization's controller. It's going to edit. Where does it block? So it basically return false unless the user. So it sort of returns false there. I'm surprised that it would actually do that it would do a redirect. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it returns false there, it's just going to like. I guess it's going to, rather than it being a redirect, it seems like it's going to stay on the same page. So switch there. And I guess that will only match if the person has kind of come in. I mean, yeah, this one here, right? I guess it's actually, this is going directly to our. I mean, the interesting question I guess there is if we just delete the ID. It's kind of like it's inside our system. So this is locking the test itself to go to that particular URL, isn't it? And
so it doesn't work as normally in the app.
I wonder if I just run that again. I'm still there. Okay, yeah, and that works there. Just because any place we do that, that's tying it to the ID, and I guess now I'm even slightly surprised. You see what I'm saying about? I'm surprised about it's expecting an explicit redirect operation, and
there is no redirect.
Well, we're just doing return false, and I guess that then Rails is interpreting that as, yeah. I'm just sort of slightly surprised that ends up being a redirect to the right location, but I guess that's part of the Rails magic, if you know what I mean. Yes, and so we've got the choice in each case where we've got these failing specs of, okay, that was a relatively simple fix there, but is this spec really, you know, a good spec to be having there? It's kind of, you know, I sort of feel like it makes more sense at the Cucumber level in some ways. Like, but if we go to, well, sign in as a user who cannot edit. So we've got, this is about editing individual organizations. Now we'll edit own charity profile, for example. And we've got, yeah. Anyway, so I mean, I think there's a bigger job here that not necessarily for you, which is about kind of reviewing the acceptance tests and saying, well, is that controller spec, is that actually, you know, is that covered by some sort of feature in here? Because this is the one where editing own profile, and we've got things in here like, you know, non-logged in users do not see the edit button, do not see the edit button if you're, you know, but basically these are the checking that you wouldn't see the edit buttons. And I guess we're not signed, we got redirected to sign in, we're not signed in and edit there.
So I guess that's here it's if I'm not wrong, it's checking the user interface, and in the controller it checks also if somebody doesn't try to do it through URL, for example.
Yes, and so, and what I would then call this is potentially I would call this a request spec, but I guess it's neither here nor there. I guess the difference, well, and actually, but we're stubbing it out, which is why we've called it the controller spec. So I guess, yeah, in that context, I have, convinced myself that that's probably all right to stay. Yeah. Anyway, so the background is my ongoing internal arguments with myself about which, you know, different layers of testing to have in place. Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of, like, if I was attacking this task going forwards, what I would be tempted to do, as I say, is one, ensure that the migration has, you know, this automatic saving operation, so the slugs are all in place. And then two, I would probably try and work on, as I say, not making any changes to the views, and then going through this smaller set of issues with these controller and request specs. I mean, that would also be a good, for me personally, a good opportunity to be reviewing, you know, the relationship to the features or whatever. But you should do that or not do that, depending upon how involved you want to make it. And I think having then got the spec screen, you know, it sort of breaks the work up, and you can determine, you know, more of the process. Anyway, go on.
So okay, so I think I'll work with that and try to do that. But the one question you already told me that probably I don't need to add any RSpec tests.
Yeah, I would have said because you know the friendly ID gem itself will have tests on it, and so, you know, you could be writing RSpec tests to check that, you know, the appropriate URL path from, you know, having mixed it in all works. But that seems, you know, kind of surplus to requirement. And unless you want to do that for like education or fun, you know, it's probably not, you know, it's not, I would say it's not the right level for testing, unless we were, you know, we were making some very strange modification to the way friendly ID works and how it interacts with our system. Because the real question is not, does the organization model, you know, spit out the appropriate thing? It's, from my point of view, it's like, is the user experience, you know, correct? But yeah, so, and then go on.
So this is more of thing for Cucumber tests, some basic Cucumber tests, yes?
I think so, from my point of view. that reflects I think I lean generally on the side of saying, it's all very well what it does under the hood, but it needs to the most important thing to me seems to be that it serves the user in the way that we want. I mean, there's a separate thing of like, is the domain model consistent and coherent and so on. I mean, I would say at the level of the expectation that if I was writing an RSpec for this, I might be checking that base organization extended friendly ID. But I mean, I think if you want to, because I sense that you kind of want to explore RSpec. I mean, if you want to write a little test that checks that organization, I mean, that would be the interesting thing to do, is just for playing, is whether organization needs this directly or whether it will inherit it. Even though the documentation says that maybe you should put it in there, you could certainly write a little RSpec. You could add to the RSpec for the model to say, let's go look in here, organization spec, to check that it's behaving in the way that you want to do. Although, we have, it's a very long file already, but yeah. But so yeah, I leave that up to you. I mean, in terms of your satisfaction with how the changes that you're making to the underlying model and are they behaving correctly. But the other thing I would say is I would probably lead with making changes here that just in terms of how the it doesn't even have to be there. It could be on the show page, but I know you were editing the. If we go back into the view, you were editing. Where's it gone? Organizations. What were you looking at? You were looking at the show page there, and so.
So I experienced that, with in here it doesn't work like just with organization in the other part. So you would have the URL with normal ID number, not one with friendly ID. If you don't add friendly ID, because I have it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying that if you just do edit organization path organization, it
doesn't work like in show, like on.
Oh,
index.
really? Okay.
In index, as you see, you don't need to add anything, and it works.
I wonder, can I if I do organization path organization for, can I get the paths in this done? I don't have them. There's a way to get path in Rails console. I load like the active record helpers. Check out of path. Post path. Can I just do app? Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. Interesting. So here, if I just do organization path there, that's coming out. I'm not getting the friendly. I guess the first one. If I can just do quickly here, I can do organization. All each. Let's do that. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. All right. So now if I do that, okay, so if it's got a slug, it will do that. But so what we're saying here is if we have edit that. Now see here.
It's working, okay.
Yeah. So I think that you had a theory that it wasn't working there, but that might have been because that particular organization that you were interacting with didn't have a slug. So if it doesn't have a slug, I think it falls back on the ID, doesn't it?
No, in fact, in my case, it had
slug. It had a slug. Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, maybe for some reason. Anyway, it seems to me like it should in principle work. But so yeah. Again, as I say, yeah, I think the first step would be to kind of work back through the RSpec failures without having made any changes to the view. And then, you know, if you're going to start making changes to the view, kind of go in. Like, interestingly, in this page, I don't think there are any direct links to the, because you know you're on the page. It's the I think this is the place on the index page that's kind of like the first point of entry from the user's perspective, and so that's the most important thing to test. I mean, I guess we've also got this issue that I think that the features are difficult to navigate at the moment. Yeah, here, in which that, like, this should be like, you know, organization. This is kind of stuff related to the organization show page, and this is like stuff. Yeah, we oh god, it needs to be broken up completely differently. I think we need to ideally the homepage and individual charity pages, I think, needs to be merged, and it needs to be called organizations, and then we need to have like the CRUD based things. But
maybe in local resident seeking support now, this thing for
yeah, so this one I think should probably just be calling like list, you know, organization or list organizations feature. I mean, it's because the local resident seeking support is for the entire system rather than specifically this one. But yes, so but it's this one here. They're looking for, you know, the index should contain, and presumably this one. Let's have text. Is it actually checking for the URLs? I'm not sure. Yeah, so this is maybe not checking the URLs specifically. So there's going to be kind of a process of review there. Anyway, what I would say is maybe I can. I've got to kick on and do some other things now. Maybe I can leave it with you to kind of review the RSpecs and sort of take another way into it, and then maybe what we should do is possibly as part of this, we could look together at refactoring just the feature thing and get them organized by, you know, in terms of the domain model terms, so that it's easier to find the things. We can maybe do that together. But I probably well, but might have time later on this afternoon. But there's a few other things I should do now. So should we leave it there for the moment?
Yeah, I think so.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, it was not so bad. It took more time to me to read the documentation than to implement it, because it's so easy, in fact. So I think it's nice gem.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm bad because I often tend not to read the documentation, and I just want to look at the examples, and I want to just get on with it. And sometimes I should sit down and read the documentation to find out more about what's going on.
So one thing, but it's maybe for later.
You
don't want me to add this now, is the question if you want to like address the problem of duplication. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, that's the kind of thing of, like, my intuition is generally like, let's leave that, like, that's another piece of complexity that might be useful, but we're not sure. I mean, like, maybe 95%, but maybe we need it, maybe we don't. So I'm always tempted to leave those out to a bit later, so that I can get the basic version working into the system. And it's almost like I'm always being conservative, because any little thing can always cause explosions, and every extra little thing, even if that's not going to create another problem, it's another thing that you have to take into consideration when you're debugging the whole system. So I think, you know, always make the changes as small as possible.
And I think it's nearly no, it's possible, but it's not probable that there will be organizations with the same name.
Yeah, and so it's sort of, and I think the great thing is it's certainly likely that it might happen, and the trade-off is against, although we may well know that we need that, there's nothing stopping us doing that as part of the next cycle, as the next chore, as the next thing. And this is often what I struggle against, is there's this tendency to, like, oh, well, we'll probably need it, so let's put it on. You know, I mean, it's like if you're going on a camping trip, right, and say that you've got a car and you've got lots of space, yeah, just throw stuff in the back. But that kind of approach with a software system can lead to all sorts of problems, because everything that you throw in and say increases the complexity of the system.
Okay, I understand the lesson.
Great,
Thank
fantastic. All right, Piotr, do zobaczenia, and I'll catch up with you soon.
zobaczenia.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Cheers.